the chemicals that they're sensitive to do, keeping them from participating in that building or structure that we're putting federal dollars to. These are the things that happen that just really make our world heading that direction of being just a little bit more just. So, Daryush, I know you too come here regularly sharing your passion, and we have a unique event thanks to the United Nations coming up within the week here. Friday, December 3rd, we're going to be doing a celebration through a masterclass that Denise is heading up, and I agreed to co-deliver this masterclass on Friday. But Daryush, you want to speak to this a little bit with all the efforts our group here represents together? You want to speak a little bit in terms of what's bubbling up for you today? What unique thoughts have you brought today, November 27th, in anticipation of Zeke Fest? And by the way, folks, it's Zeke Week. So Daryush, what are you thinking about during Zeke Week? Take it away.
Thank you, Kurt. Actually, this is a sad truth, what you said. There is, using the word disable creates so many misunderstanding, prejudgments, and so many things on the other people that call themselves enabled. And I personally, whenever I have a chance to introduce myself, I do mention that I am a colorblind person with high astigmatism, and I am a programmer, and I create websites. I am a cybersecurity expert, and I introduce myself and my potentials and my capabilities and what I do. Because I want to say, okay, although I have this problem, but I am doing these things and I am expert in this field and you are not. And this applies to any person in the world, no matter he is enabled or disabled. We all have potentials, we all have capabilities, and sometimes we do things differently. But this does not mean that people with so-called disability are actually disabled. They do things in a different way. Colorblind people do not see the world black and white. Only 3% of the colorblind people see the world black and white. The rest see the colors. Some combination of colors I cannot see. I cannot tell the difference between, for example, dark green and dark blue or black. Some specific shades under some circumstances, I cannot tell the difference. I've seen that everyone, the others, my wife, my children, they can see it without any problem, but I cannot tell the difference. But this does not mean that I cannot do anything. I see the world black and white. And I believe during this event, we have to use all the means that are available to tell everyone that it's better to change the terminology, and instead of using the word people with disability, say something different, like people with different potentials, different abilities, different capabilities. And I personally do as much as I can, whenever I can, wherever I can. And I hope other people do this the same. Back to you, Kurt.
Awesome. So I want to check in with Barbara. Barbara, are you out there? You need more time to come in and share. There you are. So Barbara, what is this bringing up to you? We're already 20 minutes into this. You are on mute. We put up the you are on mute sign. And so we're building up to a little bit of time here to come on. Barbara, what are
Yeah.
you looking to share at this moment? Come on and take the mic.
Oh, goodness. Well, the one thing, what I was just doing was, people asking me, what's the link to the show? That this woman, she's in Switzerland, and she's probably when I get off, I'll send her the link, and then she'll try to zoom on, and hope to see more and more new people, right? Because what I was focusing on this week has to do with, here's our faith. Here's what we're projecting for the future, and here's the different ways we might all practice our faith, and then what actual proof do we have to say there's really something to this? Like when I pray or when I chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, or different things that people do where we're seeing raising the vibration of humanity itself. The idea that more people can feel peace and be able to relax. And I mean, I've seen with eyes that see and ears that hear, where sometimes I've been really dumb, deaf, and blind, and time because of emotional disability that I was struggling with. I could be in bright sunshine with beautiful bright colors and still not be able to really feel, to really perceive everything that's around me. And there's these subtle differences. There's a man who wrote a book, My Grandmother's Hands, and he talks about this, that we don't realize the scaffolding that we put up to protect ourselves so we could survive and our lives could grow, and then the scaffolding that's still up that we need to get rid of because it's keeping us from being as close to other people in important ways as we might be able to get, or as close to nature and what's beautiful there and what's healing there as we might be able to get. And I wonder if anyone who's hearing me can take the ball that I've thrown out and grab it and run with it, and what it is I'm trying to communicate. But I know the more courage I have, here's the thing if they say, okay, pick somebody in the environment to be your partner, we're going to do something that most people won't go to, the person that's most exciting them, that they're most attracted to. And what's sad about that is that sense of excitement or attraction, there's good reason for it. There's a lot of creative energy there. There's a lot that could be brought out. And yeah, so as we learn to open ourselves up to feel, and more like Dr. Du Bois, the man who wrote Birth Without Violence. He's like, you Westerners, you don't realize how important your feelings are, that they're the most tangible thing you have because they can last your whole lifetime. This is something that can really last if you can acknowledge what it is you're feeling and cultivate it when it's something that's really good and beautiful. And that we need to learn how to do that more, and how that ties in with this very concept of seeing actual proof of where our prayers go, where our heart goes, how to lead with the heart, how the heart's what's important. And my challenge to connect the different things that I'm saying.
Excellent. Thank you, Barbara.
Thank
So
you.
that
Thank
gets us
you.
right into the heart of this podcast. And so we're going to make a little heart to heart check in here with Marianne Ambrose. So, Marianne, are you hearing us? Are you connected? You got audio there, Marianne? Aloha. There's
She might not be able to hear us.
Is Marianne not here?
Okay, well, hopefully she will be able to come and join us in a couple of moments. Just want to say that, yeah, everything that was just said and mentioned is, it really does hit home for a lot of us with disabilities. And it's interesting what our youth was saying before about disability having a negative tone and thought behind it. And it would be great if we can just really start changing vocabulary, because the words that we use really do have that negativity attached to it, as he was saying. And the fact that someone is saying disabled, right? It's like when you think of a vehicle that's in the road and, you know, it has an accident or whatever, and now it's, the vehicle is disabled and is blocking traffic, right? It's a negative thing. But if we can start really using other words like, I am a person, I'm a wheelchair user, or I have a visual challenge, or whatever the other words that we can think of to use rather than disabled, because the person is not disabled. We're still able to do things. We're just able to do it differently, right? So it's more of a unique ability that we all have, that we do things differently, and we all bring our own talents into the world. And that's way more empowering than the word disabled. So yeah, those are great thoughts. And it's interesting also, Barbara, what were you saying, that sometimes even though we have a world of beauty around us, our state of mind could be negative. And I still think it's also because a lot of what society has the vibration that's put out there with, again, the words that we use, the thoughts that we have, those self-limiting beliefs that are, again, imposed probably by society. So yeah, it's all about the mindset, the wording, the vibration that we're sending out into the world. We all need to work together to really have that mind shift.
Mhm. And it takes some courage, right? Because you've mentioned this before, you know, we're afraid to talk to each other, but the world would be so much more interesting, you know, if we weren't, you know, if we could ask the questions that we think, you know, if we could get close to other people and start to communicate more, dialogue. Oh, this was so important, that I just learned that when you're having a dialogue with another person, if you're totally disagreeing, you have like really different thoughts and feelings on the subject, but the very fact that you are having that dialogue kind of creates, that is more important than the thoughts and the words. The willingness to dialogue is so critical, so important, it's so beautiful. It doesn't matter that you have different thoughts, you know.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
It is our mindset too. I never call myself disabled. I tell, when I introduce myself, sometimes I say I am a colorblind person, but I never say I am disabled, because I don't believe that this color blindness is a disability. For me, it is an asset to do my job better. to help other people that are like me see the work that I'm doing, see the contents that others, my clients, put on the internet for everyone. Our mindset is important too.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So Zeke, you said some amazing things also about bringing the world together for your birthday, your 50th celebration. Woohoo! Let's all party together.
Well, that is a great way to say it because, in the last decade, I've had this thought of, it'd be interesting to do a census on birthdays to figure out, kind of, what barriers there are even to birthday party situations. Like, let's look at what people outside of the disability community are able to do in celebrating their birthday. And then let's look at what people in the disability community do to celebrate their birthday, and to look at where logistics and resources and how our world works, our culture, our customs, our biases, and how those things make a difference. Got nothing to do with the person, that is trying to celebrate their birthday, or maybe somebody wants to celebrate with others for their birthday, but maybe birthday parties are held at an inaccessible place, or maybe there's not a sensory zone at a birthday party. So somebody with neurodiversity is not going to be interested in that party because it's just too much. It's too much to take and no place to go diffuse all of the energy and nervous stimulation. That there's just a lot of considerations, even if we stay on the topic of birthday party celebrations. And let's look at singing happy birthday. Do we have sign language interpreters involved so that those who are not hearing happy birthday being sung, that the mode of participation of say it's ASL or whichever sign language in the world. We had the United Nations day for celebrating sign language in the months past. And so there's a lot of these things that people don't think of. We were talking to our big cheese Jim Turk out of Madison, Wisconsin, who does the 12 o'clock shakedown, and he was talking about his adventures being a wheelchair user and some of the things that he has to work around because facilities are just not as fashioned for wheelchair users, and he's actually able to work around it a lot more than a lot of other wheelchair users because he has MS. He uses the wheelchair because he just can't stand for great lengths of time. But if he needs to fight his way up or down steps, he actually can make that happen, if he has to. It's just tough with his MS condition. So there's different things like that I appreciate, that I think it's necessary to have these conversations to keep trying to drive the narrative and the message and the stories told out there. We were talking about a movie that was created to tell the story about how the Americans with Disabilities Act came to be. And, the story told is it was actually the state of California that really moved our country in the direction it needed to have this appetite for such a legislation as ADA. Basically, the way I experience the story is it portrays for me how 49 states of the union were sleeping, like not willing to do enough to get it done. It took coming from thousands of miles away from the state capital, traversing the entire country, traveling from California to Washington, D.C. It was those Californians that really sparked the energy that really was,
Nope, you froze, Zeke. Okay, we will wait for him to come back. Emily, did you want to share anything while we're waiting for Zeke to come back?
So if anybody is interested in joining us to celebrate Kurt's birthday on Tuesday, to please feel free to let us know.
I would like to. I just don't know like what time, what place, like that.
Do I have to give my address?
No.
Why? You have it?
Well, yeah. Well, which address are you talking about, Darius?
Postal address.
Oh, I don't have that. No.
So I have to send my postal address for the cake.
Oh.
He talks about his birthday so much, and Tuesday we have to celebrate. Well, what kind birthday celebration without cake? 50th
I know, right?
birthday without some cake is not okay. So I will write my mailing address for a cake. We are not too much, only 4 people, and each of us half a kilo is enough.
Zeke froze like partway through your talking.
yeah, that's
Really?
what happens with the World Wide Web. They have a little something that they call Eek on Zeke, and the World Wide Web just shuts me down. I got monitors out there kind of evaluating if I should continue, and they were telling me I shouldn't continue, and I had to bring the show back to you guys.
We have people watching. We have people watching you, dude.
Oh,
Better be
yeah.
careful.
We were deciding what kind of cake each of us like.
Ah, nice. See, parties keep the world going around, keeps the conversation
Yeah.
going.
I will write my postal address for you so that you can send us a cake.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'll call the local bakery and have them send you a slice.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah,
I love
they'll send it
Emily's
across the lake.
But what shall we do for the candles?
Yeah, we're gonna have the local fire department on standby because with 50 candles, we got to have emergency preparedness with that one.
Yeah.
So, Emily, do you have some announcements that we want to get in before the show passes us up here? What kind of is the news of the week? What announcements you have for us, Emily?
I was just saying about if anybody was interested in joining us for your birthday to let us know. But
And how do we do that?
we can get with you, Barbara, about that.
Okay.
Afterwards here.
Love your
But
tulip.
we have a few people who are running campaigns right now, between a GoFundMe campaign, a Kickstarter campaign, and Kurt, I'm not exactly sure what JR's is. Might be another GoFundMe, to help some people out who are experiencing some financial and health issues, along with selling a book. Kara, do you want to talk, explain any book that was written by a couple of people out in the Connecticut, New York area, called Pulling Each Other Along. Kara, do you want to say anything about any of the few campaigns?
Well, there's good news with this Kickstarter campaign that they have reached their minimum that they need to get the initial orders placed with the publisher and get this going. So, but the Kickstarter is still out there available to help direct people to the book. But there is a website, pullingeachotheralong.com, and you can see the book there. And it's a second book by this author. Pound of Kindness is a children's book that Doug Cornfield has written. So the book Random Acts of, or not Random Acts of Kindness, it is Pulling Each Other Along. The book Pulling Each Other Along is a little bit more for general audiences. And there's a nice YouTube video available through this Kickstarter campaign, and otherwise what the author and the group is using to promote it. And it really was ignited through the life of Dave Clark, who is the only professional baseball player to take on the career from crutches. So basically, Dave has polio. And so if he wanted to, or in terms of playing sports in his life, he needed to always play sports from crutches. And in his sport of choice, the thing he was so passionate about, he became a professional and got his career done and inspired many and amazed many pro athletes on how amazing Dave Clark played baseball from crutches, and then whether on the field or off the field type thing. You know, a lot of neat things happen even between all the baseball games and all the time with the baseball teams. So so many people surround this story, and so it's a segue to a lot of other athletes and a lot of other amazing people whose stories are told in Pulling Each Other Along, and keep illustrating how other people in our lives are ever important, and the role we are for other people is so important. And it's this whole dynamic of pulling each other along, how our lives get propelled and thrust forward because we're there for each other. And so, and this is kind of a neat mantra for me as I think of disability advocacy, because that's a little bit of what I feel a lot of this, you know, podcasting and sharing stories and having rhetoric and narratives out there is all about, is to stimulate this dynamic between the disability community and the community of people that don't identify with a disability, is to say that if we go towards unification, a unified societal community approach, there's a lot of things to look at in how, from both sides of that imaginary line, how we pull each other along. And I guess that's how I look at it in terms of how many people in disability communities certainly have pulled me along. So yeah, we're joined here by Captain Adam, who is still working on getting his audio. But Denise, you want to come back in here? We're kind of coming into our final segment of this show, the tail end. Anything coming to mind that you want to get in? Did we cover enough on the December 3rd masterclass, or what topic seems appropriate?
Can I quickly say something? If anybody is interested in donating or helping out with either of the three campaigns, to please let us know. I'll get you the information for that. But over to you, Denise.
Thank you. Yeah, I actually do want to share something. We've been speaking a lot about being heard and and working together worldwide to really bring change to persons with disabilities. A fellow coach of mine, her name is Melissa Fairchild, wrote a beautiful piece for a magazine recently. And one of the things that she said, a beautiful phrase that she used, and I just want to share because it was so powerful and it really resonated with me. She said, success comes from courageous vulnerability to be authentically you. I'll say it again. Success comes from courageous vulnerability to be authentically you. Again, by Melissa Fairchild. You know, when I read this, I was thinking, wow, that is so powerful, because in order to really make a change, we do need to be courageous. We need to be vulnerable. We need to be able to ask for help and work with one another to really make that change. You know, and the only way we can do that really is to be authentically ourselves and just say, hey, we can do this together. And I love that. You need to be courageous. I loved it. So I just wanted to share it with you. Again, that was Melissa Fairchild.
Yeah, I like that quote too.
Yeah, thank you. That was beautiful. Those are very good, Kate, you know, so beautifully. Thank you.
Thank you for letting me share that.
But we have Captain Adam on camera here.
Why the Zeke? Emily, you probably, why Zeke?
Did I hear that right? You're asking why Zeke?
Yeah, where'd Zeke come from?
Ah,
Nobody
Barbara,
knows, but
you
I
just
don't.
opened up a can of worms. So the story told is that when I went over to visit my grandparents, the neighbors were very sociable and interactive to us, very lively couple. And you know, the man of the family over there, he was very interactive with me. For whatever reason, he really took to me, and I guess I could say found me entertaining, and things like my smile, and you know, I had a hyperness about me and whatever. And so the way I kind of was very active, and just my antics, and we're talking like when I'm like 6, 7, 8 years old, Barbara, you know, when this all started. And he got to a point where like my name is Kurt, but he got to a point where he actually told me as a kid, he's like, you aren't a Kurt, you're more like a Zeke. Yeah, you're a Zeke. And so that was just a moment where he just dubbed me with this nickname, and it just became a memory. And I've just been a person who's attracted a lot of nicknames. My father had a lot of names like Hector Schmidt, Gomez, the professor, you know, and Denise has enjoyed calling me Special K, and got that nickname from our friend Chad. And so just thinking of nicknames, I told the story about Zeke to many people, and it's just been kind of that alter ego, that other personality I have. I have multiple personalities, and so that Zeke personality just seems to be kind of a way to describe my zeal as an entertainer. And it's been maybe the fuel to how, when I got into water skiing, that the show director thought I was the perfect candidate to be a painted face clown in you know, one of my first seasons with the Pewaukee Lake Water Ski Club out of Pewaukee, Wisconsin. So that's what it's all about, is that if you want to turn it up a notch, you're going way above and beyond the Kurt experience. When you get the Zeke experience, That's a whole different show. So
I
I
like
figured
it.
we're gonna try to make it fun. And you'll notice I don't spell Zeke like most Zekes on earth. Most Zekes spell their name Zeke. And I'm trying not to create a stereotype of Zeke around me. So I'm creating that distinction by spelling my name differently. Zeke as compared to all the other Zekes in the world. So Adam, were you looking to say anything today, or are you just here as our resident listener and standing? All right. So Marianne, are you out there? Are you looking to say anything, Marianne, or are you still just taking up a square? All right. I guess Marianne's. Oh, we have Iris. Let's figure out who Iris is. This is great.
From Switzerland.
Yeah. So Dariush, do you have any technical commendation today or commentary? Yeah. Any updates for your podcast you're producing on Monday for streaming out on Thursday? What's going on with the tech show by you? The tech show with Dariush. What do you got?
Not so much. Only we have started a special discount for the new year for Purple Biz, and I will provide more details on my podcast. The discount is 50% for the companies, and 75% for network marketers and Happy Neighborhood Project members.
Yeah, that's very generous offer. Thank you, Dariush. With H&P Wisconsin, Minnesota, we're circulating that around. Well, thank you, Iris, for joining us and joining the birthday party here. Iris from Switzerland. Iris, you want to introduce yourself, a little bit about who you are, what you do, if you're connected with any company, any products or services, or any personal stories, Iris, or did you come to just listen today? Are you out there, Iris from Switzerland? Iris Muriel. Here, you are on mute. So I'm gonna click ask unmute. So we're gonna work on that. Emily, what else do you have as we're coming into our concluding minutes here?
Onward and Upward, which is the nonprofit Kurt and I are with, is putting together an event for February 22nd, 2022, to help combat veteran suicide. And it's 22, but that's the old statistic. Recently found out it's gone up to about 27. But anybody who is interested in helping us with that event, to please let us know as well.
Yeah, that's really become a foundational piece in the work that I'm doing, because I take the approach and the stance that, I find it very important to do disability advocacy and make this world work better for people with disabilities. But I really feel remiss in not putting priority in suicide prevention, because, if you have an individual who loses their life to suicide, you get to a point where you have universal design, global public inclusive infrastructure, inclusion, accommodation, opportunity. But then all of a sudden, none of it happens because we lost the life of one of our fellow human beings. So very important crusade. The project, with the 222 to Save 22 event includes conjuring up and cultivating co-hosts to run other events with us. We're going to be using Zoom platform and otherwise to create virtual connection and activities, and aiming to have a 22-hour day by involving people with or people from other parts of the world. So with all the different time zones and everything, figuring we'll be spanning 22 hours from beginning at one place in the world to ending in other places in the world, and having different co-hosts do different autonomous events, and even thinking localized in-person events, and thinking of the constructs of having a concert, resource fair, having a drone ball drop, and having what's called a smash party in the middle of this whole event, and other things yet to come as we keep collaborating for a couple months to shape what 222 will end up to be. So great to have Iris here, who states to us through production notes that she is here to support Barbara. Cognizant, courageous, compassionate cultivators of community, communicating in unity for ability. Iris does work in healthcare and works with adults with many abilities out there in Switzerland. So we got our international show here with Dariush and Iris, and then the rest of us, scattered across the United States of America. So Denise, as co-moderator, we're ticking away on our minutes here. What other thoughts do you want to make sure we get in today?
I actually want to again say welcome to Iris. Very nice to meet you. And I love, out of everything that you just said and that she had mentioned in the notes, what absolutely screams out at me that I love is where she says, communicating in unity for ability. Communicating in unity for ability. Because that's what we're doing here now, right?
Isn't that awesome? Isn't that awesome?
That is amazing. I love that. Because that's exactly what we're doing here in Worlds of Ability. Love it. Thank you, Iris, for that. That's beautiful.
All right. So just going to interject here, quick reminiscing here of our show that we produce midweek out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, USA. It's the precursor to this show. We went from a local show in Milwaukee to this, the World of Ability podcast, and the Ability MKE Now show that I'm talking to about. You can find social media on it. You can find it at riverwestradio.com, produced and live on air with Riverwest Radio, live radio available online, riverwestradio.com, 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern every Wednesday. That's PM, 7:30 PM Central, 8:30 PM Eastern every Wednesday. Tune into riverwestradio.com and look for our social media live streaming, and keep in touch with us here at the World Ability team. We can direct you in there. Everybody out there can feel free to email me, Kurt, Kurt, at thedisabilitychannel.us. Call and text 262-372-1SKI. That's 262-372-1754. I want to give great props to the Disability Channel. Please do check it out. Great programming. thedisabilitychannel.ca. CA is in Canada. So this is all international stuff here. And so my mission is to get the format of the Disability Channel into every country here on planet Earth. So come and let's see, Iris, if we can get one of those in Switzerland. Wouldn't that be great to have, the Disability Channel Switzerland? So let's get working on that. So the great thing for me about the Disability Channel is that when I was in radio, working with Adam, who's all about radio, that's his baby, radio all the way, radio.co, online radio. Adam and I did a lot of blog talk radio stuff that kind of culminated all this interest. But we teamed up to bring Ability MK Now to Riverwest Radio out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and we cultivated a bigger team with Jory, Mickey, and Dawn adding on to our team, and 5 years of great programming. And we continue that show today. We were talking about the Pulling Each Other Along book. The group with Pulling Each Other Along does podcasting every Thursday. 6 o'clock Central, 7 o'clock Eastern. You can look for their social media for that live streaming every Thursday live. And they were involved with Ability MKE Now for several months. They brought their whole production and their stories and interactions to Ability MKE Now. And so we are all working together, all this introduced through the Disability Channel, including Dave Stevens. Dave Stevens is a 7-time Emmy Award-winning broadcaster, and we are looking forward to follow him in the week upcoming to the Super Bowl and through the Super Bowl. Look for DaveStevensSpeaks.com. Check that all out. A lot of exciting things going on here. And the remarkable thing about the Disability Channel is that it's actually, unfortunately, unique. Nowhere else on planet Earth can you find a platform that is television produced by and with people with disabilities. And as television, it's for everybody. There is no such format and devoted commitment and built around inclusive hiring with an educational platform. In Ontario, the government makes the public-private partnership commitment to fund education for Ontarians with disabilities, that they get to go on in, dive into the media sector, learn all about what we can do with TV, radio, podcasting, public speaking, digital production, and cultivate all of these professional skills and capabilities and showing these projects so that they have a great chance to be hired and on their way with that inclusive hiring experience.
And Onward and Upward, the nonprofit I had mentioned earlier, that's all about helping especially the homeless population and veterans, especially with finding employment, is the fiscal agent for the Disability Channel up there in Canada. Fiscal agent down here in the US.
So there you go. So that's the fact, Jack. Canada is leading the world, folks, in inclusive television media productions. So hopefully other countries, including the USA, can catch up. And that's why I'm here doing what I'm doing as ambassador of the Disability Channel. So we are here in our Minute to Win It Blitz. So Dariush, I want to give you one more minute. You want to speak to anything else? Any final thought before we wrap up this show? You got a minute to win it. Good luck.
I don't have anything new to add. I will give my time to the others.
All right, we'll just take that as satisfaction accomplished for Dariush. So Barbara, we're going to check in with you. You got a minute to win it to give us one final thought, any reflections on this show, and anything you're hoping for shows yet to come.
I always just end this show with a big smile on my face, feeling like I was in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing, feeling like I got to be part of something that's great and that's meaningful, and where people are starting to work together joyfully, and so excited to have Iris come on this show. She has much to offer the world, and I'm glad that she gets to be on, this is nationally, well, more than nationally, right? This is like a worldwide broadcast that we're building to help people understand each other better. And Iris, her heart has been, I met her through Looming, which I've talked about before on this show, where people are saying we're going to create an economy that's going to not be people working jobs they don't like, that they hate, that they don't believe in, just to keep a roof over their head that's killing them. No. We're going to start knowing each other and knowing each other's dreams and goals and gifting into each other. That sharing is caring, and learning how to do that intelligently so the world becomes a much happier, healthier, more joyful place to be. And Iris has just been up in the middle of the night because her time is 5 hours in front of Eastern Standard Time here in the United States. So we're having meetings, and she's up at 2. She's up whenever she needs to be to keep building on this dream of people really learning how to love each other so much better. And I'm really proud of her for getting here today. So I wanted to share that, and I'm so excited about getting to know everybody better. Like Emily, I love the idea that you were saying, you know, if people needed to know how to make money, how to work, that you can help them do that. That was just so good. That was just so brilliant and so meaningful. And just glad to know everybody here, everyone here. So this is a superhero champion to me. Thank you, guys.
Absolutely. Thank you, everybody, for being here. What a way on Thanksgiving weekend that we are exiting this show, getting our thanks in place and getting it out there, documented, recorded, and forever embossed into the messages that people can have forever now. And so with that, we are in the final minute of the show, but I just want to bounce back one more time to our co-moderator, Denise. Any finishing touches you want to offer before we call it quits?
Yeah, I just actually, before I say my finishing thoughts, I was noticed that you had the mic open. Did you want to say any last words before we say goodbye to our audience?
Hi, everyone. You're so sweet. I was just gonna say, I just called to say I love you. I just called to say how much I care. I just called to say I love you, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart.
Beautiful! Oh my gosh, what a beautiful, beautiful voice. Thank you so much for calling us to tell us that you love us. We love you too. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Beautiful, bravo. Come back and sing for us anytime.